As we come to an end of 2019, let us take a look at the Superman stories of 2019. I'm Brian from BMA Comics, and these are the top Superman stories of 2019. Rules are simple: the story had to end in 2019 and star or majorly feature Superman. Counting down from number 5, Superman Volume 2, The Unity Saga, The House of El. From one of the greatest creators of his generation, Brian Michael Bendis, comes the second volume of the Unity Saga of Superman comics. This volume 2 collects Superman issues 7 through 15. Epic secrets of Superman continue to unfold as John tells the tales of his 7-year adventures with his grandfather Jor-El. Yet, only a few months in space being apart from his father, Superman, and Lois, it changed John Kent forever. I'm not a fan of this decision by Bendis, but I will not take away from the fact that he is a talented writer, even though he is taking Superman and making it his own, as most writers do. Going to number 4 is Superman Year 1. Superman Year 1 is a great jumping on point for new readers, and a refreshing flight for older fans who want to be treated to a new version of Superman's most commonly retold origin in the same universe as The Dark Knight Returns. Frank Miller writes like the legend that he is, with artist John Romita Jr. in this 3-issue arc. In every retelling, though some are not as good as others, there is always something new and sometimes fresh twist that comes. Clark decides to leave home and explore the world and enlist in the Navy. Keeping in line with Superman being a true blue American hero, this story tells more of a young immigrant that decides to give back to the country that took him in as her own. Superman Year 1 stands out as a more hope-filled entry out of all the DC Black Label titles. In the third spot of this list is Action Comics Leviathan and Leviathan Event. If you aren't reading Action Comics right now, you should be. Here's another great story written by Brian Michael Bendis and illustrated by Steve Epting. That work has been exciting, intriguing, and most importantly, it has been an absolute blast catching up with the Leviathan series from Action Comics issues 1007 to 1011 and the Leviathan event that has Mailov on art. Bendis has built the tension of this story arc up to the last issue and giving a great lead into the Leviathan event. This story arc sets up Leviathan as a powerful and mysterious organization with way more interesting plans than it seemed at the beginning. Superman, Lois, and Jimmy get ready to tell what could be the biggest story of their lives. This story felt like it's going to fail in the early parts, but it gets better. Another story that took flight in 2019 and in the top 2 is Superman Up in the Sky, or at least the non-Walmart version. Superman Up in the Sky is a blast for anyone, whether you're a new or older comic book reader who wants to understand how Siegel and Schuster's creation endures. Written by Tom King and illustrated by Andy, Superman is hell-bent on saving a single child abducted by some alien warlord in this 5-issue story arc. It was good to see King do a good story at DC other than Batman. Remember that classic issue of Superman racing the Flash? In this story arc, you get to see that recreated. This could be one of the best Superman stories not just in 2019, but also in recent history. The story arc was originally published in Superman Giant, number 3 to 16. On the top of the list features not just the Man of Steel, but also the Dark Knight himself, Batman Superman. Joshua Williamson writes a dark yet very enticing tale brought to life through the artistry of Marquez. Superman and Batman are together once more, and they're facing a terrifying new threat that could strike from anywhere. Spinning out of the devastating events of the Batman Who Laughs, its infection is about to take off and has assembled the Secret Six. The 5-issue story arc opened a portal into the dark multiverse that leads directly into Year of the Villain, Hell Arisen, number 1. This is a great read not just for Superman fans, but also die-hard Batman fans with their team-up. With the mystery at its core, Williamson crafted a much layered story arc, all while using the continuity that comes from each of Superman and Batman's own books. The last but definitely not least is a bonus story, Tales from the Dark Multiverse, Death of Superman, issue number 1. Tales from the Dark Multiverse are one-shot special issues of pivotal moments from classic stories in the DC universe that are revisited with a dark twist leading to horrifying new narrative possibilities. The creative team of Jeff Loveness, Brad Walker, Drew Hennessy, and Norm Rapman has created a dark twist of the classic event and one of the most iconic moments in DC history, the death of Superman. The story opens in the immediate aftermath of Superman's fatal confrontation with Doomsday in the streets of Metropolis. Lois Lane, in a deviation from the original story, quickly grows to resent the rest of the superhero community that had left the Man of Steel to die alone in her arms. As the world faces life without Superman, this takes her to some incredibly dark places. Despite familiar faces arising to fill the void left by the death of Superman, Lois becomes a twisted figure angered by grief, leading to horrific violence and tragedy as she spirals out of control. These are the best Superman stories of 2019. You can check out the best Batman stories of 2019 or the best of Wonder Woman next. Subscribe for more videos made for comic book fans, and please let me know what was your favorite Superman story of 2019. I appreciate you spending your time with me. Thanks for watching this video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks again for watching. Until next time, Brian out.